Hello, I'm Song. Today we are going to read another beginner-friendly Korean story. The title is 딸기 한 개, which means one strawberry. Let's get started. 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶은데 계란이 없어요. 그래서 엄마는 계란을 사러 가고 아이는 집에서 기다려요. 식탁 위 그릇에 딸기가 20개 있어요. 딸기 딱 한 개만 먹어야지. 아이가 딸기 그릇을 떨어뜨렸어요. 얼른 주워 담았는데 딸기가 19개밖에 없어요. 냉장고 밑에도 식탁 밑에도 없어요. 찬장을 열어봐도 서랍을 열어봐도 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. 딸기는 어디로 갔을까요? The first sentence is 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶은데 계란이 없어요. 딸기 케이크를 combines 딸기, strawberry, and cake, cake. The object particle를 marks 딸기 케이크 as the object of the following verb. Next we have 만들고 싶은데. The root verb is 만들다, meaning to make. The grammar pattern 고 싶다 expresses desire. So 만들고 싶다 means want to make. 계란 means egg. Since it ends in a consonant, the subject marker E is attached. 없어요 means does not exist. There is not. The literal meaning of 있어요 and 없어요 is to exist and to not exist. However, in English, they are very frequently translated as to have or to not have. Because of this have translation, many students mistakenly want to use the object markers 을을 with 있어요, 없어요. But remember, you must always use the subject marker 이가 with 있어요, 없어요. So in our story, we use the subject marker 이 to make 계란이 없어요. It literally means eggs do not exist. Now let's look at the connector 근데. It is derived from the word 그런데, which means but or by the way. It functions like but or however to connect two parts of a sentence. You might also know 지만, which is derived from 하지만, also means but. If we change the sentence using 지만, 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶지만 계란이 없어요. Both sentences express contrast and they mean the exact same thing. But when you want to sound a bit softer, like when you are turning someone down, 근데 sounds much gentler and less direct. That's why you will hear 근데 used more often in everyday conversations. Now, let's look at the hidden subject here. In the first part, want to make a strawberry cake? There is no subject. Unlike English, the subject is frequently omitted in Korean when it can be easily understood from the context. And it is often more natural to leave it out. Since the subject is mentioned in this first sentence, it means we can easily find it in the next sentence. Let's keep reading and we will come back to this hidden subject in a moment. 그래서 엄마는 계란을 사러 가고 아이는 집에서 기다려요. 그래서 means so or therefore. 엄마 means mom. Topic marker 는 indicates that mom is the one we are talking about, meaning as for mom or talking about mom. 계란 again means egg and 사다 means to buy. The grammar pattern 으러 가다 means to go in order to do something. The suffix 고 is derived from 그리고 and it connects two parts of the sentence, meaning and. Now let's look at the second half. 아이는 집에서 기다려요. I means child and 는 marks it as the new topic, meaning as for the child. Next is 집에서. Notice that the story uses 집에서, not 집에. While both particles relate to location, 에 is used for static existence with 있다, 없다, or as the destination with 가다, 오다. In contrast, we must use 에서 here because 기다려요, to wait, is an active verb taking place at that location. Now, let's look back at the very first sentence of our story. Remember how it didn't have a subject? Now that this second sentence introduces mom and the child, the mystery is solved. Since both of them are involved in making this cake, it clears up why the hidden subject in the first sentence was mom and the child, or they. Therefore, the meaning of the first two sentences is they want to make a strawberry cake, but there aren't any eggs. So mom goes to buy eggs and the child waits at home. 식탁 위 그릇에 딸기가 20개 있어요. 식탁 means dining table and 위 means top or above. 그릇 means bowl and the location particle 에 is attached here because the following verb is 있어요, to exist, which describes a state rather than a dynamic action. So 식탁 위 그릇에 translates to in the bowl on the table. 딸기가 strawberries with the subject marker 가. Now we have 20개. In Korean, we place a counter after a number to count things. 개 is the most common counter used for everyday objects. There are many other counters in Korean, like 명 for people, 마리 for animals, or 권 for books, which we can explore in a future book. When using these counters, we use the native Korean number system, 하나, 둘, 셋 system. The native number for 20 is 스물, but it drops the final consonant to become 스무 whenever it sits right before a counter. It is just like the number 2, where 둘 changes to 두 개. Therefore, we always say 스무개, never 스물개. 있어요 again means exist. There are. So this sentence means there are 20 strawberries in the bowl on the table. The next sentence shows what the child is thinking. 딸기 딱 한 개만 먹어야지. The word 딱 is an adverb meaning exactly or just. 한 is one, 개 is the counter. 한 개만 means only one piece, where the particle 만 attaches to the noun to mean only. The root verb is 먹다, to eat. The grammar pattern 아어야지 is used when talking to oneself to express a personal decision or promise to yourself. So the child is saying to himself, I'll eat just one single strawberry. 아이가 딸기 그릇을 떨어뜨렸어요. 아이 means child, and the subject marker 가 is used because the child is the one performing the action. 딸기 그릇을 means the bowl of strawberries, where 을 is the object marker. The verb is 떨어뜨렸어요, which is the past tense of 떨어뜨리다, to drop something. Be careful not to confuse this with a very similar verb, 떨어지다. 떨어지다 means to fall, where something falls on its own. For example, 핸드폰이 떨어졌어요. The cell phone fell. On the other hand, 떨어뜨리다 means to drop something, where someone actively causes the object to fall. For example, 핸드폰을 떨어뜨렸어요 means I dropped my phone. In our story, the child dropped the bowl, so we use 떨어뜨렸어요. So this sentence means the child dropped the bowl of strawberries. 얼른 주워 담았는데 딸기가 19개밖에 없어요. 얼른 means quickly or right away. 주워 담았는데 combines two verbs. 줍다, to pick up, and 담다, to put into a container. 주워 담다 naturally means to gather up and put back. As we discussed earlier, the ending 는데 functions as a soft but. We saw 싶은데 for a present tense adjective. But how do verbs work? In the present tense, verbs always take 는데 regardless of consonants or vowels. For example, 담다 becomes 담는데, 먹다 becomes 먹는데. This is different from present tense adjectives which use 은데. However, there is a great news for the past tense. When we talk about the past, verbs and adjectives follow the exact same rule. You simply create the past tense using at, and then always attach 는데. So 좋다 becomes 좋은데 in the present tense and 좋았는데 in the past tense. And 먹다 becomes 먹는데 in the present tense and 먹었는데 in the past tense. 19 is 19 in native Korean number. You can actually see the literal word 밖 here, which means outside. But when attached as 밖에 and followed by the negative verb like 없어요, it becomes a complete grammar pattern that means only or nothing outside of noun. So 19개밖에 없어요 means 19 only exist, which means there are only 19 pieces. Now you might wonder, what is the difference between 19개밖에 없어요 and 19개만 있어요. Both can translate to there are only 19, but they carry different emotions. 19개밖에 없어요 carries a negative nuance. Because 밖에 is paired with a negative verb, it shows that the speaker feels the amount is not enough or is less than expected. It brings out a tone of disappointment or surprise. In our story, the child expected 20 strawberries but found 19. On the other hand, 19개만 있어요 carries a neutral nuance, and it is followed by a positive verb 있어요. It just states the current fact without expressing disappointment. So this part means the child quickly picked them up and put them back, but there are only 19 strawberries left. 냉장고 밑에도 식탁 밑에도 없어요. 냉장고 means refrigerator and 밑 means under, underneath. 식탁 again means dining table, and we see the particle 도 which means also or too. Because the child is searching everywhere, this 도 can also carry the nuance of even. It highlights that the strawberry isn't even in these hidden places. Notice how the particle 도 is attached to both locations. In Korean, native speakers have a strong habit of repeating 도 for every single item when they list things out. Therefore, the entire sentence translates to it's not under the fridge and it's not under the table either. 찬장을 열어봐도 서랍을 열어봐도 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. 찬장 means cupboard and 서랍 means drawer. The verb 열다 to open is combined with 보다 to try doing something. The ending 도 here is derived from 그래도 even so. Together, the pattern 봐도 translates to even if you try to do something. The final part is 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. The verb 찾다 can mean to look for or to find. The grammar pattern 을 수 없다 means cannot. You might already know the word 못, which also means cannot. If you compare 못 찾아요 and 찾을 수 없어요, 못 찾아요 is the shorter form and it is used much more frequently in everyday spoken Korean because it is more concise. However, 찾을 수 없어요 is also perfectly natural to use in daily spoken Korean. So, this sentence means even if the child checks the cupboard and the drawer, he cannot find the strawberry. 딸기는 어디로 갔을까요? 딸기 is strawberry. 는 is the topping marker, so it means as for the strawberry. 어디 means where, and 로 is a direction particle. In this story, you can actually use either 어디에 갔을까요 and 어디로 갔을까요. Both are perfectly correct and natural. However, when you use 로, it adds a slightly different flavor. While 에 simply asks for a final destination, 로 focuses on the movement and path itself. For our rolling strawberry, it gives the nuance of toward which direction is it heading. Using 로 here makes the story feel a bit more dynamic and descriptive. The verb 갔을까요 comes from 가다, to go. The ending 을까요 is used here to ask for the listener's thoughts because the speaker is curious about something. In this context, it translates to what do you think about this? So, 어디로 갔을까요 translates perfectly to where do you think the strawberry went? 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶은데 계란이 없어요. 그래서 엄마는 계란을 사러 가고 아이는 집에서 기다려요. 식탁 위 그릇에 딸기가 20개 있어요. 딸기 딱 한 개만 먹어야지. 아이가 딸기 그릇을 떨어뜨렸어요. 얼른 주워 담았는데 딸기가 19개 밖에 없어요. 냉장고 밑에도 식탁 밑에도 없어요. 찬장을 열어봐도 서랍을 열어봐도 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. 딸기는 어디로 갔을까요? 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶은데 계란이 없어요. 그래서 엄마는 계란을 사러 가고 아이는 집에서 기다려요. 식탁 위 그릇에 딸기가 20개 있어요. 딸기 딱 한 개만 먹어야지. 아이가 딸기 그릇을 떨어뜨렸어요. 얼른 주워 담았는데 딸기가 19개 밖에 없어요. 냉장고 밑에도 식탁 밑에도 없어요. 찬장을 열어봐도 서랍을 열어봐도 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. 딸기는 어디로 갔을까요? 딸기 케이크를 만들고 싶은데 계란이 없어요. 그래서 엄마는 계란을 사러 가고 아이는 집에서 기다려요. 식탁 위 그릇에 딸기가 20개 있어요. 딸기 딱 한 개만 먹어야지. 아이가 딸기 그릇을 떨어뜨렸어요. 얼른 주워 담았는데 딸기가 19개밖에 없어요. 냉장고 밑에도 식탁 밑에도 없어요. 찬장을 열어봐도 서랍을 열어봐도 딸기를 찾을 수 없어요. 딸기는 어디로 갔을까요? For your homework, read the story aloud several times. After that, record yourself and listen carefully to your own voice. This is the key part of the practice to hear yourself and notice what you can improve. When you finish, write in the comments 숙제했어요, which means I did my homework. Keep reading at your own pace and I'll see you for the next story. Enjoy your practice and see you soon.